Another sunny day in Portishead, and today is one of those days that you always look forward to because it's time to remove the tape on. Is always a nice thing to do. So let me just give you a bit of a view. So this is hand painted with roller and tip. You can see I've got the anti-foul on and just about to do the job of removing the tape, which is always a bit of a bleed there that needs to be painted over, but otherwise another one there that you can either scrape it or you can paint it over. It's just where it's bled a little bit, but one of the things not to do is to leave the tape on too long in the hot weather, because the glue, it actually separates. There's one or two marker lines, but it's only a whiteboard pen, so it'll just rub off with a bit of thinners. So I shall continue to do this all the way around. So I have my nice anti-foul line cut now, and Mystique is going to get its final coat of roller and tip. And I'll paint down to around kind of here. From here upwards it's already got its third coat on and blended in. So I'll go from the toe rail down to that section, and then on top of there I'm going to put my my strap line, and that'll be about a 6-inch wide blue band. But what I thought I'd do is just show you my roller and tip setup. I'm not tipping with a brush. You'll notice I've got a mohair thin 100mm roller. My paint is thinned down somewhat so I don't get too much dragging when I tip off, and that's a tip because the paint, when it comes straight out of the tin, is pretty thick. And in the warm weather it dries really quickly, and if you're trying to pull it and tip it off, it'll soon start to drag. You can see the paint I'm using here is Hempel Polar White 10501, which is a bright white, and that's the colour that I've gone for. And you can see here's my tipping method, which is one of these paint pads. I've got it on a stick. Why I've got it on a stick is so that I can get a nice long stroke. You can see also my roller I've got on a long pole as well. This is to get a nice stroke of about sort of 2 foot going on each of the sections, before then I pull it with the paint pad. And what the paint pad does, it just prevents all the paint lines. And you can see here actually where I've done it with a brush, maybe you can see, even though I've tipped it as best I can, I've got lots of paint lines in. So I wish I'd have actually discovered the method of using a paint pad to start with, because it gives a really lovely finish. So here we are on the starboard side of Mystique, and I've painted the port side. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a demo on what I'm doing with the roller and tip. Remember, I'm using a 100mm mohair roller on an extended arm to get the sweep, and I'm using a paint pad to do the tip off. And yeah, it's a two-man job or a two-person job really, but you can do it on your own, and I'll just show you how I do it. I've mixed the paint, which is a 1-part paint, with about sort of 15% thinner, and the reason why I've done that is that I want it like a sort of off milky consistency, and that's so that we don't get the drag, and the drag is the kind of tipping method nightmare. So you notice as well, I'm not actually working off a ladder, because I've got here my extended pole, my extension pole. Then it means that I can actually get right up to the toe rail. And I've already put 2 coats on, so this is a 3rd coat. So I'm going to blend out against the toe rail and against this little vent here. But what I'm doing here is I'm not particularly bothered about the finish. I'm more interested in getting the paint on. And getting the paint on in a block of about 1/2 metre, because beyond that the paint's going to dry quickly. So what I want to do now is just quickly get my paint pad, go all the way from top to bottom, not side to side, all the way from top to bottom, just to take all of those bubbles out. I don't know whether it actually is coming out on the camera, but lots and lots of bubbles that are generated by the roller. What the paint pad does, it just knocks those out completely, and that is a beautiful smooth finish. And I'll continue to do that through the rest of the boat. Like I say, the trick is to have your paint the right consistency. You don't want it thick so it drags, so it dries quick. Plenty of thinners in, like I say, about 10%, which is quite a lot, and a nice milky consistency. So I've just got some more paint on my roller, and then I just finished the last little bit here. Of course, it's really important to ensure that you're working wet on wet, which is basically, you can't do a patch and then go for a cup of tea. You've got to do 1/2 metre, and do it all the way to the end, otherwise you'll end up with a dry edge. And a dry edge, the only way that you can recover that is to sand it back again, to be able to get your blend back in place. So here, 100% bubbles again. Paint pad, just pull it down. That is absolutely perfect. I'm so pleased with that. If you find this content interesting, do like and follow as I prepare Mystique for its life of adventure with me and my 2 cats, Chesney and Ralph. And that is? This is the final 2 weeks before we splash and hit the Mediterranean.
How am I supposed to get anything done when I have this thing living in my house? All I want to do is look at you and kiss your face, okay?